Karl Marx was a German. He wrote the Communist Manifesto while living in London. So, why didn't communism become popular in either Germany or in England? Why did communism take root in Russia, of all places? Karl Marx was born in 1818 in Trier, a small town in what is now Germany. He moved to London, where in 1848, alongside Friedrich Engels, he published the Communist Manifesto, which was a call to arms for the working class to rise against capitalist oppression. But here's the interesting twist: the revolution that Karl Marx envisioned never happened in England nor in Germany, the two places Karl Marx thought it was most likely to happen. Instead, communism was born in Russia. Russia was a place Karl Marx barely considered fit for a socialist revolution. So that naturally raises the question: why did communism not take root in Germany, Marx's birthplace, or England, where Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto? Karl Marx himself believed revolution would erupt in advanced industrial societies, where a large working class, which he called the proletariat, would eventually overthrow the bourgeoisie. Germany and England did have industrialization, they did have class struggle, but they also had something else which prevented the rise of communism: reforms. Labor unions gained power, laws improved workers' rights, democratic institutions evolved, and so, despite inequality, many workers believed they could achieve change within the system. The pressure valve was released, the revolution never came. Meanwhile, Russia was the opposite of what Karl Marx had predicted. It was mostly agrarian, not industrial. It had a tiny working class. It was ruled by an absolute czar with no real democracy. But this made Russia a pressure cooker. There was no valve that would release the pressure. There was no legal outlet for discontent, only unrest, only poverty, and a lot of anger. Then came the First World War. Millions of Russians died, the Russian economy collapsed, and faith in the Russian monarchy shattered. Enter Vladimir Lenin. Lenin took Karl Marx's ideas and flipped the script. Karl Marx said revolution must come from the workers. Vladimir Lenin said revolution must come for the workers, led by a vanguard party, a small elite group who would guide the masses. This was a massive shift. It wasn't bottom up, it was top down, and it worked for some time in Russia. In 1917, the Bolsheviks overthrew the Tsar and created the world's first communist state. Once the Soviet Union was born, it did not stop there. In China, Mao Zedong led a peasant-based revolution, again deviating from Karl Marx's playbook. In Cuba, Fidel Castro and Che Guevara brought communism to the Western Hemisphere. In Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh's forces defeated colonial powers and unified the country under communism. Even in places like Angola, Nicaragua, and Ethiopia, Karl Marx's ideas, filtered through Vladimir Lenin's lens, became the blueprint for revolution. Karl Marx dreamed of a proletarian uprising in modern industrial democracies, but communism found its strongest roots, at least for a time being, in rural, autocratic, and colonized societies, the very places Karl Marx thought were least ready for communism. Why? Because those societies were desperate, repressed, and ready for radical change, even if it meant skipping the steps Karl Marx had carefully mapped out. So maybe the real lesson is this: history doesn't follow blueprints, it hijacks them, twists them. And in the case of communism, it started not with Karl Marx's ideal working class, but with those who had nothing left to lose. Thanks for watching this video. Take care, bye bye, and as always, please don't forget to be awesome.